Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister tunnel-visioned on local government reform. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 27th June 2023. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Political leader of the People's National Movement and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the party is continuing on its journey to local government reform. More in this TTT News item.
The PNM held its special convention and LGE campaign launch at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, NAPA, on Sunday. During his feature address, he confirmed that all 141 PNM local government candidates were volunteers.
We have offered no one an inducement. We have paid no one a fee. And most importantly, we have made no one a promise. This is the People's National Movement.
The PNM political leader said elections are important. Elections have consequences, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago know that more than any other. He spoke of the party's 68-year history and its successes.
Defeated almost 70 political entities in this nation. And all we can say to all the chapters, form them and bring them. Name them and bring them. The PNM will deal with them.
And he challenged the party's detractors who claim that the PNM's campaign is built on local government reform. He said if the country has local management through local government, it can only improve the quality of life in every community.
This is not something that has come to us in the PNM for an election campaign, as some of our detractors would say, most disrespectfully and most hypocritically, that the PNM is campaigning on local government because it's the issue they think they can win an election on.
In the meantime, Trinidad and Tobago's Ministry of Health is effectively working towards controlling non-communicable diseases, NCDs, in the population. The assurance came from the Minister of Health, Terry Dialsing. TTT's Terry and Brown Campbell has that story.
Trinidad and Tobago has become the first country to scale up the HEARTS initiative to all public primary health care centers across the country. Health Minister Terence Dialsing said there is evidence the HEARTS Scale-Up Initiative, a program aimed at reducing heart attacks and strokes, is working.
So out of 411 patients admitted for stroke in San Fernando, when you compare to 1998, the mortality rates for strokes in 1998 was 29%. What is the comparative now? For 2020-2021, 7.1.
Minister Dialsing said the ministry has increased its screening for NCDs in the 5 regional health authorities to better track the effectiveness of its programs.
In 2020, out of the 14,663 persons who were enrolled, 5,356, or if you go to the line above, 36.5%, were controlled. By 2021, the green line, 17,993 are now controlled, which represents 47.3% of.
He noted, though, NCDs were a major factor with persons who died from complications associated with the COVID-19 virus. The health minister made his remarks during a media briefing following the Non-Communicable Diseases Symposium at the Radisson Hotel on Saturday. Terry Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
The Police Welfare Association is applying pressure for a number of issues affecting the grouping and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force to be addressed. These range from poor working conditions to serious allegations of sexual impropriety by officers. Jason Darius of the DBS News World fills us in.
The Police Welfare Association on Thursday convened a press conference to highlight several allegations surrounding the affairs of the association. One of these is the alleged hijacking of the association's election process by incoming President Cameron Law. The president highlighted the process by which he was elected.
On Friday, 8th February 2023, invitations for nominees for elections were advertised in various locations around the island. On March 13th, 2023, nominations were closed, and the Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Cressida Descartes-Pellius, was informed of this, as well as the nominees in writing on the 16th of March, 2023. After the 16th of March, we would have informed the Commissioner of Police then that nominations were closed and the branch boards were formed. We did provide her with the names of the personnel who formed the branch boards. Of course, the election of the Central Committee was supervised by a gazetted officer, and that gazetted officer, I know, would have forwarded a call report based on the elections of the Central Committee to the Commissioner of Police.
The second issue at Thursday's conference is the poor working conditions at St. Lucia's Immigration Department, causing much strife for the staff and the general public, with enormous delays for the issuing of passports. President Law says the incoming executive followed the footsteps of the previous executive in having consultation with the Home Affairs Department in bringing the woes of the workers to an amicable resolution.
This issue has been there before 2021, and it continued. For years, the officers attached to the department have been plagued with a multitude of illness, which can be attributed to poor air quality in the work environment, including severe mold exposure. Having realized the issue persisted and only grew worse over time, my executive continued the efforts of the previous executive in bringing some sort of resolution to the matter. In the past, there had been several air quality tests, deep cleanings, repairs to the building, all of which bore no permanent fruits.
Law reveals that the illnesses persist despite the implementation of these short-term measures, with workers falling sick and even being hospitalized due to these conditions. Dialogue with the RSLPF to adequately address the issue has not been forthcoming. The issue of sexual harassment within the rank and file of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force remains high on the agenda of the PWE. A letter penned to the then Commissioner of Police, Cressida Descartes-Pellius, concerning allegations of sexual misconduct, according to the President, has not been met with a response.
There were persons in authority who had been made aware through the Welfare Association of these allegations. I thought it was necessary at the time to pen a letter to the Commissioner of Police to look into this matter and to have an independent investigation, or at least to have those members who had reported to the welfare heard. Since then, I have had a conversation with the Commissioner, the then Commissioner, Mrs. Descartes-Pellius, who at the time indicated that she would be responding to my letter in writing. To date, we have not received a response as it pertains to the letter that was forwarded to the Commissioner of Police.
Law says the Police Welfare Association will continue to look into these pertinent issues to allow for a fair and just working environment for officers. For the DBS News World, Jason Darius reporting.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The opposition party in Jamaica is once again expressing its concerns regarding the upcoming introduction of new electric Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC buses, particularly focusing on the issue of maintenance, highlighting the significant number of buses currently in a state of disrepair. The Shadow Minister, in an interview with CVM Live's reporter Kimberly Henry, reveals that his raised concerns have been disregarded thus far.
In closing the sectoral debate on Wednesday, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says in an effort to enhance public transit services, some new buses will be added to the Jamaica Urban Transit Company's fleet.
JUTC will receive a boost of adding 15 new buses, including 45 diesel and 45 electric buses by the end of this month.
The minister says this will improve the company's capacity to better serve citizens, adding the eco-friendly vehicles will enhance public transportation efficiency and reliability. Bartlett also unveiled by September another 20 buses will be added. But opposition member with responsibility for transport, Michael Phillips, says they have no issues with electrical buses. However, he raised several concerns, which he told CVM Live he has been asking in Parliament for quite some time.
We're spending billions of dollars on these new buses. They are different from what we would normally have, which are regular diesel buses. We have a different environment. We need to make sure that we have adequate data that these buses can work with our environment.
Phillips questioned if Jamaica has the requisite skill sets currently to maintain the buses, debunking the government's claim that the buses don't need much maintenance.
So it's just making sure that we have enough data, that we don't spend money like putting the cart before the horse.
He says we might save on fuel, but maintenance, he insists, will rack up the prices. He reminds there are presently buses with less glass than electrical buses that have been destroyed by citizens and replaced with cardboards or plywood boards.
And if we treat them the same way that we treat the regular buses, then we're going to have a big expense on our hands.
Phillips rebuked the government, saying they treat transport like a bastard child, noting even these additives will not increase the seating capacity.
Government policy has failed the traveling public. And the sad part about it is that you're adding 50 buses to the fleet of 167, but at least 60 buses of that 167 needs to retire.
Kimberly Henry for CVM Live.
The death penalty debate is back on the front burner in Jamaica following the killing of 8-year-old Daniel. Jamila Maitland of TVJ News has more.
The abduction and the killing of 8-year-old Daniel Rowe has yet again sparked debates on harsher penalties for child killers, including the death penalty. Little Daniel's case, however, is not a capital murder, and so the death penalty does not apply.
It has to be accompanied by a felony. So if it is a rape and then killing, then it's capital, because a felony has been committed in pursuance of the killing. Because only one person died at one time, it does not qualify for capital murder. What you may need to do is for Parliament to legislate that the killing of children becomes now capital murder.
But if a bill comes to the Parliament for the death penalty for child killers, would the lawmakers support it?
Not just child killer. I voted against the penalty here because I thought it was barbaric. So not only for child killer, but any bill that comes here to reintroduce capital punishment, I'll be the first person to vote for it.
I myself decided that I will donate blood to her. It didn't reach fast enough. She succumbed to her injuries. And I strongly support the death penalty. If you're going to hurt a vulnerable child in our society, what could that child have done?
Generally speaking, I don't support the death penalty in terms of just a principle. But I know that, especially at this time, I wouldn't want to make that decision. When you see crimes as heinous as this, and it really tugs at your heartstring, your initial reaction is to do that. So I have to look at it a little bit more.
Member of Parliament Michael Phillips says lawmakers have been too reactive to crimes against children.
I know it is us as parliamentarians, as lawmakers, to make the laws, to make it more stringent. But in this case, it is the government that will have to carry that bill to Parliament. And I'm sure they will get support from both sides of the House, or most of us in the House. No, they will certainly get my support.
We speak quite passionately when it happens, but we have to do something. And that I know there's direct responsibility to legislators.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.